Hey everybody, the Hebrew word Elohim does not mean judges, period. If your Bible ever renders judges for Elohim, that's just wrong. That's not the case in Psalm 82, it's not the case in Exodus 21:6, it's not the case in Exodus 22:8 and 9, it's not the case anywhere. But in this video, I want to address one way that some Bible translations mislead people regarding this word. So here's Exodus 21. I want to look at verse 6 in the NET, the New English Translation, which I've said before is helpful with its copious footnotes because it helps people understand what the debates are behind how the text is rendered. But I've also stated there are issues with it, and this is one of those. In verse 6 here, it's talking about if a slave does not want to leave after 6 years of service. It says, then his master must bring him to the judges. The Hebrew word there is Elohim, Ha Elohim to be specific. Let's look at note 13. So the first half of this footnote argues that this is a reference to God, but it seems like it's more likely a reference to the humans who represented God in court. And I want to focus on the last sentence. Others have made a stronger case that it refers to judges who act on behalf of God. So this must be why the NET actually renders the judges. See Cyrus Gordon, Elohim in its reputed meaning of rulers, judges in JBL 54. And Anne E. Draftcorn, Elani Elohim in JBL 76. So these are the two pieces of scholarship that the NET cites in order to support the notion that it refers to judges who acted on behalf of God. Neither article argues that. They both argue exactly the opposite. Here is Cyrus Gordon's article. It is my contention that here Elohim does not mean God, as the Septuagint translates, nor judges, which is the interpretation of the Peshito and Targum Onkelos, followed by Rashi and Ibn Ezra, by several of the English versions, and by the lexicon. The literal translation, gods, plural, found in the Vulgate and Luther's version, is better suited to what appears to be the real meaning of the passage in light of newly discovered material. It's going to go on to argue that the Nuzi tablets help establish that the reference here to plural gods is actually a reference to penates or to teraphim or to little figurines that were household gods. And that brings us to Draftcorn's article, which the bottom two lines cites Gordon approvingly. Accordingly, Cyrus H. Gordon was able to point out in a brief study that the term Elani, gods, was used in Nuzi legal texts in ways that closely paralleled some of the atypical occurrences of OT Elohim. These parallels, he concluded, militated against the traditional rendering judges. Gordon's view is borne out by further material that has since come to light. Draftcorn then goes on to further explain that the Nuzi tablets provide the best context for understanding what's going on here with Elohim, that it means plural gods, and specifically is a reference to household god figurines. So the translators of the New English Translation went with the mistranslation judges for Ha-Elohim here, and then in the footnotes decided to defend that mistranslation by citing two papers that argue authoritatively and strenuously and directly against the rendering judges. So either they did not read these two pieces of research that they cited and did not know that they actually undermined their translation, or they knew that they directly contradicted the translation they liked and they cited them anyway, counting on no one bothering to look them up.